Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Everyday Heroes podcast. Today, I am joined by Archana, who is the founder and CEO of The Social Spectrum, a platform supporting parents raising neurodivergent children. And so she has lived experience, guys. She knows what it's like to walk this journey, and she's going to be opening up about what it means to truly speak up and advocate for your child. Welcome, Archana. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much, Natalie, for having me here.
Of
Um,
course, of course. So let's just get into it. So, if you take us back to the beginning, what led you to become an advocate for neurodivergent children? What was it in your life that you felt that you needed to take this path?
so, as you mentioned, I have a lived experience, and so my son is autistic. And when he was given the diagnosis, of course, you can imagine that it kind of turned our world upside down. There were so many challenges at that time. We were very new to this journey, and we just felt that there are so many things which other people or other families did not would not understand if they didn't have that lived experience. And things like, small examples like when your child is stimming or having a meltdown in public, there are things that people don't understand and that they can judge you as parents. And so I thought it was important that we have to be advocates for our children, and so that we can explain to other families what's actually happening. And even then, it was like my son, he wasn't invited to social events, and that used to break our hearts. And like there was an example where there was a birthday party, and he wasn't invited, and the rest of the children from his school was invited. And it just he didn't know why he wasn't invited, and it was just because he was different. And so we just felt that if we don't advocate for our children and we don't provide that kind of support, then who will? So it is like important for us to speak up. And that's when I started advocating for, because I'm sure I wasn't the only one, I wasn't alone on this journey. And when I did speak to other families, I saw the same challenges that they faced. And that's how my advocacy journey started for neurodivergent children.
I'm so sorry to hear about that example that you gave
Mhm.
about your son not being invited to the birthday party. It breaks my heart to hear stories like that, to think that parents are allowing that. Like, if you are a parent who is raising neurotypical children, please know that that's not okay.
Yeah.
It's not okay to invite the entire class and not invite neurodivergent children because for whatever reason. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not saying invite them because, if you're not friends with that child, sure, obviously you're not
Mhm.
going to invite it. But to invite the entire class and not invite your son it takes a lot to be that sort of shallow,
Yeah.
right? Like, what kind of ignorance do you have to understand that this is a world where we're trying to be inclusive and not trying to be in a space where we're excluding people? So I'm sorry that you had to go through that, because no child should have to feel
Yeah.
that they are excluded and that they are not worthy of being at that party. Um, and it just goes to show you that, and I often have heard people say this before: when people show you their true colors, believe them, right? So you know what? He probably wasn't a great friend anyway. He probably didn't want to be friends. Like, he's not even worthy of your son's time and energy and love. So you can get the flick. I don't care. We don't care. We've got more important friends to be to
Yeah.
be around with.
But sometimes, like, I feel it's not, I mean, it's actually nobody's fault. Sometimes, like the parents would ask the child that, who are your friends? Invite your friends. And maybe for the children, because, they're not their friend and they're at that age that they don't understand. But I think that's, again, a lack of awareness. And that's where the advocacy comes into picture, where we have to like, we spend years of therapy on our neurodivergent children, teaching them how to fit into a crowd where people can understand them. But I believe it's equally important that we provide therapy or some kind of training to the neurotypical families and children on how to behave or how to accept the neurodivergent children and families, because later on they're going to stay in the same society. You can't ignore them forever.
And also just to know what stimming is, to know what all these aspects are
Yeah.
that you would see in a neurodivergent person, and to be like, cool, that's what they do, and that's okay, and that's part of who their makeup is.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. So in terms of advocating for a child, can you just share with us and share with the listeners, what does that look like, and why is it so important for parents not to stay silent?
It is like, just say if we take the example of stimming. So stimming can look like, so stimming is a form of emotional regulation. So sometimes when the child is overwhelmed, or just to, to give them some kind of sense of calm or to find their own space, they do stimming. And it can look different for different children. Like my son, he likes to jump up and down and wiggle something in the air and write something and talk to himself, which other people can call it as weird because it doesn't fit into their idea of a normal acceptable behavior. So my son, like sometimes when he's on the train, when he's out in public, he can feel emotionally overwhelmed and he starts stimming, which will not be acceptable to other families. But as an advocate, like one of the examples of me doing this advocacy is that I allow him to do it. I don't stop him just because he'll be stared at or will be judged at, that why is he doing this. Whereas I have seen other families where the child is, they might be talking loudly so that it's helping them with their emotional regulation. They're being told to shut up or told to be quiet. So I feel that as an advocate, you should just allow them to be who they are. And if you want, like if you have something, you tell the other people around you, if it's making them feel uncomfortable, tell them about why it's helping him. Because they won't understand that on what level it is kind of providing them comfort. So it's your job as a parent to make your child feel comfortable. And also, if you are bothered about the stares, about the judgment, so it's your job to tell the others why he's doing that. So everyone should know about these terms, about why is he stimming, what is in a meltdown. Your child isn't being naughty, or like, I had this incident when my son was in a shopping complex and just having this meltdown because he thought we were going to the movies and we didn't. And because it was part of his routine or something like that, he just had a meltdown and he was crying. And other people just thought that it's just bad behavior, that he's throwing a tantrum. So I know at that moment you're overwhelmed as it is, and you cannot tell them that what's going on, but you have to be there for your child. Instead of getting angry and annoyed, you have to calm down and be there for him, and just ignore the stares, ignore the judgment. But at the same time, it's very important to let other people know about it. There was another incident when we were going out and he was getting really anxious in the lift because the lift wasn't going, and another person was getting annoyed at him, that why is he um, shouting or saying stuff. So then I told that person that he has anxiety, he has autism. And then that kind of, then he was like, oh, okay. And that person understood. So it's not that other people don't understand, it's just that we have to tell them about it. It's not a stigma that we should hide or be ashamed about. We have to openly tell them that, okay, this person. And that's why I think it's part of a hidden disability. The other people will not know about it, so you have to inform them, tell them. And don't act as if you're ashamed about it or as it's a stigma. It just helps. If you're accepting, I think other people would also accept it.
Yeah, it's definitely something that's come up a lot with my clients in terms of the shame that is come, especially if they haven't fully accepted the diagnosis, to be able to advocate fully in that situation where you have a child who is having a meltdown, and to be able to advocate for them, or even like in the situation of the lift, you know, we're not like wanting to say something, but then not having the courage or the words to be able to say it. And then knowing, going, oh, did I let my child down by not advocating? But then at the same token, I want to be there for my kid, but I haven't fully processed the diagnosis. And so there's so many, they almost feel like they've got a foot in each world and just trying to be able to manage that. And what does that look like? So I completely understand what you're saying, and it's definitely a hard road, because it's a full-time job to advocate for your child.
Yeah.
It's not something that you do on occasion. As a parent who is raising a neurodivergent child, you are consistently advocating for them in every different environment, and that's where it can become exhausting. But if you know the groups, if you understand how to advocate, I think that makes it a world of difference.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that so much. In terms of people who are coming into this journey, who are new to the journey of neurodivergence, maybe their child has just received an autism diagnosis, can you tell us a little bit about what you would share with them as they start their journey?
As they start, I know it seems really overwhelming. I know it seems like you're entering into a territory, or which you didn't expect. Like some people, I mean, everyone, whenever they get married or when they have a child, they have these expectations that my child is going to do such and such, be so and so. And sometimes it doesn't always work that way. So it's okay, I would say, to first, accept, like, go through this, like, you feel it's okay to realize that this isn't what you wanted, this isn't what you wished for your child, but now that it's here, this is your journey, this is what you have to do. It's good to accept and just to love your child the way they are. And it because without your support, without your love, your child will not be able to thrive or live up to the best of their abilities. So one is acceptance. I know it comes with time about your child, but then also with the hope that it does get better. Initially, it is, of course, very overwhelming and challenging, but it does get better. And the most important part would be is to speak up, to talk to other families, to find other families in your similar situation. There are so many small tips or suggestions which other families who have gone through the same journey can give you, which makes a lot of difference. So it always helps to talk about it, remove that stigma. There's nothing that you did wrong, there's nothing to be ashamed about. And it's just talk about it, be more vocal wherever you are. Even talk to neurotypical parents. Like I have so many friends who know so much more about autism, ADHD. It's because I've been talking to them about it. And we can't blame in the society for being ignorant or awareness, because we are the ones who have to talk about it. How will they get to know about it? So and that's how you find support. So you have to find support two ways: your neurotypical family friends, your neurodivergent, the community. Speak to them. You never know whose suggestion will help you. Don't go into, don't close yourself in. Don't be isolated, think that, oh, there's this big problem which has happened to you. Share it with everyone. It's like, they say, raise it takes a village to raise a child. So it takes this whole the world, the whole community, to raise a neurodivergent child. So just, and there are so many people who are willing to help you, to share. It's just you have to ask for it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. I agree that you do need to ask for help. I do agree that you need to be able to be at the forefront, and that we do need to be educating them. And we are getting so much better, right? I believe that we are getting much better at being able to recognize what's going on, how we can help and better support our autistic kids, our neurodivergent kids, and how to explain that in a way that makes sense to parents who are raising neurotypical kids. And it's only through that education that we can get better as a society. My saying is that, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes a grandstand to raise a neurodivergent child, right? It takes a whole team, and a team upon a team, to be able to support children who have different challenges, different needs, and what we can do for them to better support them. So I love that so much. But I definitely know from my own experience that it took me a long time to get to the point of acceptance. It
Right.
took me a very, very long time. And when I say a long time, I'm not talking days and months, I'm talking years, right? Years of just pining over how things should have been different, how things could have been different. And yet here I stand, and I'm the biggest advocate for him, and I'm the biggest advocate for many parents who are living this journey, because without the information, how do we possibly know which direction to go in? And I love what you're doing. So, on that note, can you tell us a little bit more about social spectrum and what it is and how it helps parents of children who are autistic? What do you offer and how does it work?
So, Social Spectrum is an app, it's a platform which connects families of neurodivergent children. So, by the term connections, it is like it's more than that. You can look for families in your location, look for families with children who have the similar interests as your own child. Apart from that, you can participate in forums, group discussions in a safe space where you will not be judged or trolled. And then you have access to resources and blogs and articles. Apart from that, one major feature which or one service which we provide is events. So it is socially inclusive events for the families as well as for the children. And so we have done like through Social Spectrum some events like I talked to you about, which are addressing the main pain points like isolation. So one of the examples I gave you was a birthday party. So last year, I hosted a birthday party from Social Spectrum, and I invited all the children who had never been invited to birthday parties before. And my son, he actually found a friend at one of those birthday parties. And so he has someone who he can say, this is so and so is my best friend now. So if anyone asks him about who's your best friend, he found one at one Social Spectrum event. Then we had a Halloween party, and there were so many children who had never done trick or treating with other children before, and the parents were really overwhelmed. Like they said that this is the first time my child has actually gone with another child to do trick or treating. And then even for Christmas, I had Santa Claus come in, and there was a girl who was just hugging him and just talking to him, sharing her feelings. And the parents had tears in their eyes, and they were like, "This is the first time she's like, talking to an adult and sharing her feelings." So they're really really, it's just really heartwarming events because it's not your regular party or a gathering. It's where children they feel accepted, and they feel that there are other families like them. Like my son, he himself asked me that when is your next Social Spectrum event, because he likes meeting other children who are like him, and nobody's judging them, and the families are meeting each other, they're discussing about different therapies, about schools, and in person. So we're building our strong support community. So you have someone to fall back on, because one of the main concerns of parents are what's going to happen when we're not around. So we need to build that strong support community so that there is support even if you're not around. We'll get there eventually, but this is where it starts from. Yeah.
I love that so much. That is so heartwarming. It's beautiful to hear that you've had those experiences with those children and that they've had the chance to be able to do all the things that they may have felt like they've missed out on. Especially in an environment where they feel like they can be themselves, that, like you said, they're not being judged. They can be exactly who they are without even second guessing whatever's going on, right? Feeling like they need to mask, feeling like they need to be a certain way, do certain things. They can just really show up and really truly be who they want to be. So I love that. I love that. Can you just share with us, what do you think the misconceptions are around neurodivergent children? And I'm sure you've heard plenty in your time, as I have, but I would love to hear from you in terms of what you've heard.
There are really, like, some of them are like, oh, he doesn't look like he's autistic. There's no such look, like, I mean, you can't say that like you look a certain way and that's why you're on the spectrum, or he is being naughty again. Again, it's everything comes from like every behavior comes because of a reason. You have to go into the reason to know why he's behaving a certain way. And again, it's like so my son, like when he's eating food or he's kind of messy, it's not because he's doing it on purpose, it's because he doesn't see it So I had a really hard time even explaining it to my family members that it's not that he's doing it intentionally, it's because he can't see it. He doesn't know that he's being messy. Sometimes when he's having, like, again, the meltdowns, it's always because of a behavior. And of course, that look thing, it really bugs me sometimes. And then, oh, he doesn't look like it. And um and also, because sometimes, they're there and they're stimming, they're doing their own thing. People think that, oh, they disregard them, they don't think that they're listening. They talk about him in front of him as if, he's not there. But he understands everything. Just because he doesn't have the vocabulary to say what you expect him to say, or the conversational skills, it doesn't mean that he doesn't understand what you're saying. They understand the tone, they understand, they get the vibe, the feeling, about anyone who's talking to him. And so they understand everything perfectly well. Just because they're in their own zone doing their own thing, that doesn't mean that they're not understanding your your reaction towards him. So these are really,
Yeah.
yeah.
I always, I sometimes I giggle. I hear some of these things and I'm like, surely this can't be true that the people are saying this. Like it can't be. Like it's ridiculous. But each to their own. And again, that comes with education,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It comes with education. It comes with, so much understanding, awareness, inclusion, all of it. But yes, I've definitely heard my fair share of them. Why do you think that self-care is so important for parents raising neurodivergent children, especially for the parents and for the siblings?
Yeah. It's important, like, the saying in the aeroplane, that you put your oxygen mask on yourself before you put it on your child. It's just the same thing. And if you're not emotionally there or physically there for yourself, how are you going to be there for your child? So it's really important that you find time and space for yourself. You don't have to feel guilty about it. You cannot be a carer 24 by 7, even though there are some situations where you need to be there. But you all need help. You have to ask for help, and you have to take care of yourself. Because without taking care of yourself, your frustration, your emotional exhaustion is just going to come out on that child. So you really need to take care of yourself. And of course, the siblings, like I always say, the siblings are the superheroes who are overlooked. I have a daughter as well who's neurotypical, and she's amazing. She's like, a second mother to my son. But we always try to make sure that her needs are not overlooked. Just because we can't take her for granted, just because she's neurotypical and she understands, it doesn't mean that she doesn't have her own needs, or we don't give she needs our attention as well. So it we as parents, it's important to balance and not to put all the stress on her, that that when we're not there, she has to take care of her brother. It shouldn't be like that. She shouldn't go through so much pressure. I'm sure it's like that for other siblings. In fact, I've heard that in some families, they have another child so that they think that child can support the elder sibling when they're not around, which I don't think is fair on that sibling, because they have their own lives. Of course, as a sibling, they're going to love each other and be there for each other, but it's important to not overlook that sibling as well, and take care of her and her or him or sibling. Yeah.
Absolutely, I totally agree. Siblings play such a vital role in the family, but they can absolutely get burnt out very quickly, just because sometimes the parents are so burnt out that sometimes that role can unintentionally fall onto the sibling,
Yeah.
and it's all too consuming. They're growing up far too quick than
Yeah.
they need to be, and it's this idea of making sure that they give them the space. The parents give the sibling who's typical the space and time and the energy that they need to feel seen and heard and validated. So I can absolutely agree with that. Thank you so much for coming on. I so appreciate you sharing and what you're doing. I think it's so important. It's important for families to know that there is a space that they can take their children to be social. I think it's important, equally, for those parents to have a space where they can be social as well,
Yeah.
right? so that they connect with other parents who can feel connected, who can talk about things that are coming up, because that's how we learn. I have found most of my learnings have come from other parents,
Yeah.
which has been so helpful. So before we wrap up, is there anything else that you wanted to add?
I would just say that, like, I mean, it just hang in there. Things do get better. Just reach out for support. And the biggest thing is just accept your child
Yeah.
the way they are. Just accept them. And that makes a whole lot of difference. When you don't put on your expectations on them that, they should be a certain way. And if you just accept them with their quirks, life just gets so much easier and so much better and just fulfilling for both of you, like for the whole family.
I love that so much, Archana. Thank you so much for coming on again, and I will chat to you soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Natalie. It's a pleasure being here. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.